Vani, can you hear me?
You are live now. You can start.
Okay, thank you, Vani. Okay, hi everyone. Namaste. Good afternoon. I am Rajeshwari. Um, I'm a yoga therapist. I'm also a consultant psychologist. So Vani from Jnanamitra gave me this opportunity, this platform to talk about something related to spirituality. So one thing that came to my mind when she said talk something about spirituality is about meditation. Obviously, meditation. So I run a yoga studio in Srinagar Colony. As usual, people come for yoga. They come to improve their health. They come to lose their weight. I have some students walking in and asking me to help them to meditate. Okay. Um, then always this question used to arise in my mind: how can I help them to meditate? Because as far as I know, as far as my understanding goes, there are certain steps, there is some preparation that has to be done for meditation. They'll say, we are all fine, I manage my whatever other things, whatever the exercise part of it or the breathing part of it, I don't know what they did, or what they do, but they say, don't worry about that part, but just teach us meditation. So when Vani gave me this platform, I thought this would be a good opportunity for me to talk to all of you who are keen to start meditating in your life, or keen to start this journey towards meditation, looking at the lifestyle nowadays, looking at the kind of lives that we are leading. I feel meditation is for sure a tool to keep us moving in our lives, but also there is a way how we progress towards it. Okay, I'll see how I can share my screen. I prepared something. Hope you all can see the slideshow. You can give a thumbs up or something to indicate to Vani, who is assisting me in this call, that you are able to see the slideshow. Okay. I'm assuming that you are all able to see it. Okay. So to start our journey on the path of meditation, we have to understand five basic. Yeah, I get an indication from Vani that you are able to see it. There are five uh, basic layers in our body that we need to understand. I'm going to start from there because I was a housewife a few years back, till I would say 2006. I was an ordinary housewife who was leading a very normal life, who was fighting her weight issues, who was fighting her health issues like knee pain, joint pains, vertigo, irritable bowel syndrome. Then I had constipation sometimes. So when I was fighting with all of these issues, slowly I came into yoga. Then I slowly started improving my health, and then from the subtler, the gross things, slowly I moved to the subtler things. That is the meditation kind of thing. So I'm going to speak from my experience. There could be people who would have had better experiences with the meditation part of it. There are a lot of gurus who help us to meditate, but this is like from a lay person's point of view, how to progress from being an ordinary person not knowing anything about it, and from there how you progress to it. Okay, I'm struggling to move it to the next slide. Yes. So to understand or progress towards meditation, first we need to understand the 5 basic layers that we are made up of. That is this physical body, which is called as the Annamaya Kosha. Then inside that we have the Prana body or the Pranamaya Kosha. Inside that we have the mind or the Manomaya Kosha. Then we have the Vijnanamaya Kosha, which is like a discernment mind. And then finally we have the blissful kosha or the Anandamaya kosha. I won't say that these layers are independent of each other. They overlap each other and they kind of merge into each other. One aspect of the kosha will automatically affect the other aspect of the kosha. How that happens, let us see. Hopefully I'm able to. This technology glitches. I think every time I have to. Okay. So when we understand each of these koshas, we will be able to understand how we overcome one hindrance of the other, one hindrance after the other. We'll start with the body, then we'll see how to work with the breath, then we'll see how to work with the mind, then we'll see how to work with the discerning mind, and then how to meditate. Okay. Okay, I'm struggling with the.
Rajeshwari Garu, if you share me the slides, I will share if you are struggling.
Yes, 1 second.
Share. నాకు వాట్సాప్లో పంపించండి.
Let me see something somewhere, something is happening. I'll give one more try, Vani. I'm sorry for that. Yeah, it's going now. Can you see it, Vani? Give me a thumbs up. Okay, thank you, Ma. Thank you, everyone who is listening to me. I'm not that technical person, so I'm struggling a little bit. I think from now everything will go well. So the first step, whenever you look at a meditating person or a person who wants to meditate, they will be either sitting on the chair or on the floor. Okay, this is one of the posture we generally meditate in. Then some of you might feel that, what about people who can't sit upright? Yes, there are certain exceptional cases, people who are very sick, but we don't give up on them. We will ask them to kind of lift their head up slightly. We'll help with some support system to the bed and raise them little bit up so that they are able to stay little upright for meditation. So why do we need to have that upright position, or why do we need to sit straight while meditating? Let's look into those aspects. So there are certain, I'm assuming that people who are listening to me right now do have a basic understanding of the systems of the body. But for some of you who do not understand the basics of the body, I'll just quickly run through two important things. I cannot explain the systems and lot of subsystems that work in our body, but I'll quickly run you through the important system that it has to be kept alive when we are meditating, or the aspect which has to be incorporated or included while you are meditating. These are the chakras in your body. These chakras are situated in the spine. starting from the base of the spine to the top of your head. Okay, in the spine, again, there are certain locations where they are situated. They have a name, they have a color, and I believe when you reach advanced stages of meditation, you can even feel the taste. For example, I do not know the taste of all the chakras. I know about Manipura. They say you can suddenly feel a tinge of salt taste in your mouth if your Manipura gets stimulated. In the same way, we have Amrutam between the Agnya chakra. So the other tastes I'm not aware of. If anyone knows, later also in the comment box, you can update if you have been an advanced meditator and you have experienced something. Do post it so that all of us learn how it is to meditate, or what are the experiences that one goes through when we meditate. Okay, the base chakra is called the Mooladhara chakra. It is like the rooting or grounding for us. It is situated close to a anus. Okay, the next is the Swadhisthana chakra, which is situated just behind your reproductive organs. The next third chakra is Manipura chakra, which is situated behind your navel exactly. Then you have the Anahata or the heart chakra, which is situated just little behind your heart, or the meeting point of the rib cage. Okay, here in the center. Then you have the Vishuddhi, which is the throat chakra. Then you have the Agna or the third eye. Then you have the Sahasrara chakra. So whenever you are meditating, ideally all these chakras should be aligned. We should neither be slouching forward or nor should we be leaning back. Like I said, for some exceptional cases who are in the chikitsa category or in the therapy, who are sick, for them an option minus exercises, doing pranayama or meditation, that we can help them to heal. So leaving those category apart, rest of us who are healthy, who can sit in an upright position, we have to see that we maintain that straight curve of the spine. Then you have nadis. There are three important, there are like many nadis in the body. Out of that, three are very vital or essential to be activated for us to stay in meditation. One is the Ida nadi, which starts on the left side, crisscrosses each of the chakra, and then culminates to the left nostril. Okay, then you have the Pingala nadi, which starts from the right side, crisscrosses each of the chakras, and then culminates to the right nostril. Okay, they say that that unless the Ida Pingala flow freely, and unless the chakras are aligned properly, the vital nadi for meditation, the Sushumna, it doesn't get active. And unless the Sushumna gets active, we cannot sit in meditation, even though we are looking to meditate. There will be some disturbances. We won't be able to sit for a long time. We will kind of question, why am I sitting? I'm not experiencing anything. So all these questions will happen. So if we have to experience the meditation in the right way, there are certain things that we need to do as preparatory steps to progress towards meditation. So how much we will meditate, how far we will be successful, and how much we will be able to realize the true self, these are the questions we will park aside, because there are a lot of things that have to be done before we address these questions. Okay, I will now progress you to the first obstacle for meditation, the physical body or the Annamaya. Okay, so people want to meditate. Somebody says, the doctor says, or somebody else says, Miru meditation cheyandi. You please meditate. This is all psychosomatic. You are absolutely fine. There is no problem in your body. You please meditate. So suddenly, without any preparation for the body or mind, they will start meditating. It's absolutely fine. I would say, if you can manage, you are able to understand, you can do it, you can start with meditation. From the subtle, you can sometimes move to the gross also. It is absolutely fine. I think after listening to my presentation and any other presentation that you may find ideal related to this, you will figure out a way. Okay, the first challenge when you sit to meditate Meditate is vyadhi. Vyadhi is basically sickness. Sickness could be of any type. It could be like physical sickness, it could be mental sickness like thyroid, diabetes, blood pressure, then gynec issues, digestive issues. You sit to meditate and then you have a big burp coming out. So the acidity issues, gas reflex issues. So until unless your body helps you to sit for, I won't even say 1 hour meditation. I won't even go there now. Just 2 minutes you want to stay for meditation. 3 minutes you want to stay for meditation. 5 minutes. Then you see there is some pain in the low back. Then you see there is itching somewhere in the body. Then you see that somebody said erect spine in the meditation, the spine has started hurting. So any kind of sickness at the body level, at the mind level, it is going to hamper your intention to sit for meditation. The second is fractures or injuries. Like the third one is of course bed rest, that I already mentioned. So you must have had a fall, or you must have had an injury. Somebody says meditation, you have to sit with the crossed leg. So now you are trying to sit crossed leg, your knees hurting, and then you have some problem in the lower back, your lower back is hurting. So addressing your bodily discomfort, if you plan to meditate, take care of that injury or the fracture that you had. Put some cushions, rest your back to a cushion, find a chair that will support, keep your feet on stool or something. So make the body comfortable enough. So otherwise, if you are healthy, what you have to do, I'm going to discuss further. But there are certain limitations. There are fractures in the body. There are nuts and bolts. There are rods fixed. You cannot kind of push yourself. Don't do himsa with the body. That is going to agitate you more than helping you to meditate. Obesity is one of the biggest reason that will never help us to progress. Okay, that itself is a separate topic that I need another 2 hours to speak about. Obesity could be caused due to any reason, but obesity brings in many of his sisters and brothers. Obesity comes, diabetes comes, blood pressure comes, thyroid comes, the endocrine system goes for a toss. So everything. So one of the biggest impediment for your path of meditation is obesity. Look into your body. If you feel there is something you need to work on this in your body, start the work now. Alasya or lethargy. So when we are heavy or we are an inactive person, obviously we want to start meditation or something, the body doesn't cooperate. There's a lot of lethargy. Let us start meditation from tomorrow. Tomorrow is so and so, something is happening. Let's start meditation from next week. Oh, soon Dasara is coming. The first day on Dasara, I will sit in the front of the goddess Ma, and then I'll start meditating or something else. So the mental lethargy and the lethargy of the body will never allow you to start something good or something that is like, if this is going to help you, you have to do it. Something in you pulls you back. What pulls you back? You have to figure it out. Okay. Then there are medications that we take for illnesses that could bring in the lethargy or the tamas. Okay, alasya is lethargy, and lethargy could be due to tamas. Tamas in the body comes when you have thyroid, when you have blood pressure, when you have diabetes or any other medical conditions, and you are popping some pills. Basically, some of these pills, not all pills, but some pills, I feel they want to numb our system. They make us sleep so that we forget the pain for some time. Okay, so that part of whatever, we have to see how to work on that. So you have to take medications for the illness, and the medications make you sleepy, and somebody told you you have so many issues in the body, why don't you meditate, talk to your body. And the moment you sit for meditating, you would have just taken your thyroid, your blood pressure, your sugar pill, and now you're like, you fall off to sleep the moment you sit for meditation. So we'll see how we can kind of look into that or work with it also. Food habits. So If you're sitting with the sitting for the meditation, the food that you have every day or on that particular day also determines how much you will be able to meditate. If you had oily food, you had spicy food, you had deep fried food, you had lot of taste enhancers like ajinomoto, colors. Tubers means dumpa kuralu, chamadumpa, alugadda, carrot, beetroot, these one which are grown underneath the ground, these are all tubers. They also make you lethargic and very dull, and they don't allow you to be active. Generally they say whether you do anything, yoga, exercise, meditation, it should be on empty stomach. So try to meditate early in the morning before any external food has entered your system. Okay, then you will feel fresh. So if you had, like you are planning to meditate in the evening or the night, and if you had these kind of food, obviously lot of oil makes you feel yawning. And if you had any lot of masala, suddenly there will be some problem in the stomach, you have to use the restroom. So where will the meditation happen? It will not happen. Okay, vihara or lifestyle, the kind of lifestyle you lead also kind of determines whether you can meditate or not. If you are a person who is like couch potato, you don't do much work throughout the day, you are lazing in the sofa. For women, the maid comes and does all the work and goes. Men go to the office, but they mostly they are on the system or computer. There is not much of movement. For them it is difficult to sit and meditate, because the more and more we are inactive, the more and more heaviness comes in the body. So when there is heaviness, there is no sattva flowing. Sattva means a sense of light feeling. Okay, how sattva will flow, anyhow I'll be discussing further in the slide. So inactivity, the food, the medications, vyadi, everything makes us feel very lethargic. Even if we want to meditate, it doesn't help us in any way. Age is another factor. So earlier we used to say like in old age, why don't you say Krishna Rama? But that's wrong. Actually, you should meditate from a very young age. Inculcate the habit of meditation to your children from very young age. They say fake it to make it. Just let them close their eyes and pretend they are meditating on something. You also close your eyes and sit every day. First, fake it to make it. Every day, make it a habit to sit at least for some time, and then slowly it will become a habit. You will be able to do. So we think mostly, okay, now my children are studying, I have to pack their boxes, then I have to take care of my daily chores, evening I have to do this. So the whole day goes in the daily routine chores, and our age just passes on. We are like 45 or 50 now. We have taken, when we are young in the mind and body, the body can take the stress, the mind can take the stress. Our health issues and all will start coming or showing up from 45. Suddenly we have arthritis, suddenly they say your glucose levels are high. So till then the body which has endured all the what do you say punches is now showing up. So you don't think you have to meditate when you're 60 or 65 or 70 or 80 or after 50. No, start it today, right now. Then dharma, profession, or the role we play. So like I said earlier, if you are a housewife, you have to take care of your children, you have to take care of the daily routine in the house, and then you have to take care of any elderly people in the house. If it is men, they have to take care of their profession, they have to take care of their children, their wives, other relationships, the social circles. So in all of this, where can you sit and meditate? So when you sit for meditation, what will happen? I missed a call to my friend. I was supposed to take this. This order I forgot. This money I forgot to ask. This person I called long back wondering what happened. This person said he's recovering from COVID. I forgot to follow up. So these are the things that will happen. So office things or the daily routines things are coming up from the family. So whenever you sit for meditation, your family things or your role, all this also will challenge you. Okay. Then I'm going to discuss what are the things that you can do for each of this and progress, so that it's easy for us to give a conclusion to this talk. So how do you help the physical body? Now we have seen that so many things are there. I hope I didn't miss anything. If I missed, you feel these are also the things from your experience that you feel are the hindrances to sit in meditation. Please comment in the box or the chat, so that other people will know that there are other things also that are kind of going to be obstacles. Okay, first, if you're planning to meditate or you want to move towards a healthy life, please regulate your lifestyle, change your ahara and vihara. First of all, food, look into your food. How many times are you eating non-veg? How many times are you eating outside? Of course, right now the situation, we are not ordering food from outside, but outside food, it contains so like different food outlets use different kinds of oil, different kinds of taste enhancers, different kind of coloring agents, different types of masala. So what is that doing to your digestive system? What is that? So our digestive system and our whole system, I would like to say, is it's very intricate and delicate system. If we abuse it now, and when it is not complaining, we are going to feel very bad and repent later on. So please eat home cooked food with not much of masala. Once in a while, any Saturday or Sunday, you feel like eating something special, you go ahead. So first step, you want to meditate, you want to sit without any complaint from the body, change your ahara or food. Then comes the vihara. What kind of lifestyle do you lead? Are you a lethargic person? Are you an active person? Do you do your routine stuff? Do you do your things by yourself? Or are you dependent on too many helps or mates? Please see, make yourself active. Just keep moving. Okay, keep moving. You can exercise even today, right now, after this talk. If you feel you are a healthy person, your limbs are still working, your hands are working, your legs are working, you have a good digestive system, you don't have blood pressure, thyroid, you don't have glucose or anything, any small problem, it's okay, but start walking. Today evening, you please start walking, you go for a yoga. So if you, many students, when they join me, I have students who are doing yoga with me for the last 10 years. I have students doing from the last 4 5 years. So there is not that anything new that I am teaching, that there's anything new will be there in tomorrow's class. Sometimes it is repetitive, it is the same, but they say, without a guru, without a teacher, it is very difficult to maintain a routine. So we would like to sign up for this class. So they are there with me for the last 10 years. They say this 1500 or 1200 or 1000 rupees doesn't matter to us unless we are able to keep ourselves healthy. So sign up for a gym, go for swimming or cycling. Basically, remember, you have to move. So what we are doing nowadays, why this obesity, is that we are eating more than what we expend. Okay, so there are a lot of Sogruha foods available. There are pizza corners, there are Pizza Huts, there are so many curry points, there are so many food outlets. So you call and the food comes. But are we in the same way expending the energy? Today we have eaten this much, or today I have eaten an extra samosa. Am I going to do an extra workout? So I was hearing some lecture recently. The guru was saying that today, if you didn't exercise, make 11 pradakshinam around your dining table, only then have your first morsel of the food, so that you don't carry any guilt in your head. At least do 11 pradakshinams towards your dining table. So without moving your body or without doing anything for your body, please don't take food into your mouth. Okay, make vyayamam a habit, or make it a dinacharya. In Ayurveda, they used to say exercise and yoga and eating properly or eating healthy should all be a part of dinacharya. It is not something that we do weekly once. We did 6 months exercise, and I went to that yoga center. That lady, she couldn't help me. I didn't lose an inch. I went to that gym. He charged me 5,000 rupees. I couldn't lose 500 grams. It doesn't happen like that. When you are eating every day throughout the lifetime, you have to expend that energy. If not yoga, remove your mat today. If not gym, remove your mat today. Start doing all your household work. Start expending the energy. Start burning the calories by doing your own work. Okay. So what I feel is, this is not, being healthy is not only for meditation, even otherwise, till the last day of our death, we shouldn't be dependent on anybody. So for that reason also, we need to keep our body very, very healthy. Okay, list out the problems in the body. Now, because I am not live, I cannot talk to you directly. Some of you might be feeling, I have this problem from the last 10 years, I have this problem from 8 years, I have this problem genetically, I have this problem which cannot be solved. So please list out your problems. What are the problems that are here to stay? If the damage is done already, the problem is here to stay. We cannot ignore it. Let that be a part of your daily routine. Accept it. If you have to take your insulin injection, you have to take it, but please write down. I assure you, if you are like you are not juvenile diabetic, you are the other type of diabetic type, with your food regulation, with your diet control, with exercise, you can for sure bring down your insulin dosage. Okay, so write down the problems. Blood pressure, you can do yoga nidra, you can calm yourself, you can do slow breathing, slow exhalation, listen to slow music, and slow down in your life. Your blood pressure level will come down automatically. Your doctor will change your medication dose. I assure you that much. Okay, so list out your problems. Obesity, we can do something. We know if we are overeating, somewhere something is going wrong, we can control, we can bring down the weight. Okay, there are, for women, menopause, obesity, this PCOS problem, the thyroid issues, the other problems contribute to that. So if you can, for anything, whether you are working on a health issue or you're working on the obesity directly, whatever it is going to help. Be assured that if you have problems 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 now, even now, from today evening, if you start walking for 10 or 15 minutes, another new problem will not come into the body. So if we can put up with these, some of these will go. But I forgot to mention that I got rid of all the problems in my body. I don't have vertigo now. I don't have irritable bowel. I don't have any arthritis in the body. So it is our willpower. It is our dedication to work with the body. So what we do is, we will do for some days, then take it easy. We'll do it for some days, then take it easy. There the problem lies. Okay, so remember, medicines are also toxins that hamper your meditation. So if you are not going to work on your body, you are going to continue take medicines. And if you are taking medicines, remember in the previous slides I told you, when you are taking the medicines, it is going to numb your system, it is going to make you sleepy. Obviously you will not be able to meditate. So for anything, for any reason, to be happy, not to attach any more diseases to the body, not to attach any more unnecessary things to the body, start exercising from today. Okay, once you have worked on the body, the next thing comes the pranamaya kosha, or breath body. In the starting itself, I told that I am like roughly saying that these are the 5 koshas or layers in the body, but each influences the others. For example, if there is a body pain in the body, there is a itching in the body, there is some numbness in the body, obviously the mind cannot meditate. Okay, so each layer affects the other one. So the first and foremost challenge that comes up with the pranamaya kosha is the awareness of the breath. Many people don't know that they are breathing right now also. So the first awareness that you will bring to your pranamaya kosha is start becoming aware of the breath. When you are crying, how is your breath? When you are happy, how is your breath? When your dish turns out nicely, how is your breath? Your children appreciated you, how is your breath? When your husband shouted on you, how is your breath? When your wife complained to you, how is your breath? When your boss appreciated you, how is your breath? When he shouted on you, how is your breath? So the breath is the indicator to the body that situation outside is little tense, or it is calm, it is peaceful, it is safe. Okay, the moment the breath goes short and shallow, tensed up, the body starts becoming tight and it signals the mind that there is something wrong. So the whole body from the parasympathetic mode, it will shift to sympathetic mode, where like all the supplies in the bodies are cut off, all the important vital organ supplies cut off, and the body is in a mode of stress. Okay, so become aware of the breath. Okay, now the situation there is not okay, but first focus on your breathe. How you are going to respond or react to that situation is secondary. Your boss is shouting there on you, wait, just focus on the breath. Let that other person finish his shouting or whatever his complaints on you. You don't answer back. Let the breath allow you to cool down. First, make the sensations in your body to subside, then take a call how you want to respond. Okay, short shallow breathing. Short shallow breathing is another thing that we all need to work on before we start meditating. Even before we inhale, we are in a rush to exhale. Even before we exhale completely, we are in a rush to inhale. So when my students walk into the studio, when I measure their breath, it will be 2 seconds inhale, 2 seconds exhale, which is very, very short. After food, breath is one aspect that nourishes your whole system. Okay, please take deep, long breaths. That will help you to keep the system in parasympathetic mode. All your vital organs are functioning normally. Then there is no digestive issue, there is no acidity issue, there is no blood pressure issue. When there is no issue, there is no medication. There is no medication, you can meditate. So this is all like a chain, you know. I have been telling you from the beginning that there are a lot of systems and subsystems in the body. We need to take care of it. I don't know how the highest source has designed this system, so much of complication. But somehow not understanding what is going inside us, we kind of abuse it sometimes. So improper breathing, another important thing is many people don't know how to breathe. I will tell you in the next few things, points when I'm discussing. So the first thing, how you channel or regulate your breathing for meditation is uh, go to deep, long, subtle breaths. So be present to every breath that is coming in and every breath that is going out. Observe the quality, observe the texture, observe the depth, observe how it is, has it come in properly, has it gone into the body, and did it go out completely. Receive every breath with complete gratitude and offer it with prasada buddhi. This is something that we are receiving as a prasadam from the universe. Take it like a prasadam with lot of gratitude, because people who die, they don't receive the next inhalation. They exhale. The exhale is long, and then after that inhalation never comes to them. So every time from now, whenever you are not in any meeting or you are not in any class, or when you are sitting to do some meditation, receive every breath with complete gratitude, offer it with complete prasada buddhi. Okay, this also helps you to kind of stay aware and awake in the meditation. The next thing is, most of the people, they breathe into the abdomen. So breathing into the abdomen makes you feel sleepy. The correct way to breathe is to into the lungs, because your lungs are here, your respiration is here, your heart is here. You have to take a nice long deep inhalation into the lungs, and try exhaling from the abdomen, because all the what do you say, impurities and toxins in the body mostly get collected in the gut. And also the impurities of the toxins on the food, like nowadays food has a lot of pesticides, all that whatever they are using, everything gets collected in the gut. So when you are exhaling, if you can draw the lower abdomen in and up consciously, it will help you to throw out the toxins through the breath. Okay, this is called the air wash. So because we cannot physically go down and cleanse it with the hand or something, this is how we clean. So the first step is look into all the problems in the body, check what you can do about it. Second, start working on the breath. Make it your friend. Observe, is the friend irritated now? Is the friend okay now? Is the friend happy now? Is the friend coming and going nicely, or is it like short and shallow running? So when you have worked with the first two layers, the third layer that comes is the Manomaya Kosha. This is very, very, very subtle, but also very, very important. So I see some changes on the screen. I'm not sure if I'm live or not. Okay, I'll continue speaking. Vani, should I continue speaking? Am I still live?
You can continue. You can continue.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. Sorry, everyone. So the next layer is the mind. The challenges that we face from the angle of mind is that first and foremost is dhyana or mental inertia. So anything that you want to do, you want to meditate or you want to exercise, you want to diet, the first obstacle will come from the mind. It will say, "Are how long are we going to live? Let us enjoy the life. Let's eat this today, let's eat this tomorrow, let's eat this day after tomorrow also." It will make you postpone things that you want to do it today or right now. So mental inertia is very, very dangerous. You want to go to the gym, find out the details. You want to call up the yoga center, find out the details. The mind says like, it's okay, let's see, January 1st, now the COVID is going on. Anyhow, these many days we have been waiting. No, from Jan 1st 2020 we'll tie up with some gym, and till then let me eat and enjoy so that I will. So it is not like that. The moment is right now, today, just after this talk is over. You please make a commitment to either walk, gym, yoga, cycle, exercise. In the home only, you want to walk around, anything, start. The second is samshaya or self doubt. Then self doubt can be in different ways, like you don't know, there are certain issues in your body. You have obesity, you have thyroid, you have blood pressure. You don't know whether I should do this exercise, I should not do the exercise. Can I go to the gym? Can I go to the yoga? Should I do something at home? Will I be able to do? I'm this fat, where will I jump on that this thing, whatever? If I go to gym, they'll ask me to jump. Or will I be able to do inversion? If I lie down, what will happen? So there's so many self doubt. The mind plays different games. The mind is very, very complicated. It will try to play different games, and if you give in to those games, we are going to lose it. Okay, you become stronger than the mind. You make a point to the mind that it is okay, one day I will go and jump. If I'm fine, I will continue the jumping. If I can't jump, I will start walking. You start telling the mind, you take the control over the mind. Alasya, laziness at the mind level. Again, I told you, just like at the body level, alasya can be at the mind level also. So mind games, again, this comes under the mind game. Keep postponing things, procrastinating things. Okay, tomorrow morning I will go for exercise, then we will put the alarm, then we will stop it, and we may wake up, we may not wake up. All this. Avirati or impatience. Another challenge that comes from the mind is impatience. The mind becomes very, very impatient. I went to the gym 8 months, so many thousands of rupees I have shelled out. I don't see any change in my body. I think I should give up exercise. So please, you have to look into this, that whether yoga or gym, so cycling or walking, that you do by yourself, you don't pay anything. But when you are paying and you are tied up to some organization, you go there, it is not their whole and sole responsibility. It is only 1 hour that you spend them with. Rest of the 23 hours, how you spend, what you are doing with your body, mind is your responsibility. So what you do the rest of the 23 hours is going to decide what happens on in that 1 hour when you are exercising. Okay, don't lose patience. If you are doing yoga or gym or walking or swimming parallelly, please start your diet restriction, start your vihara, changing the lifestyle, be more active and very energetic. Anavasti Tatvani, there is another problem that the mind could lead you to is regression. Okay, Monday to Friday I have exercised, Saturday, Sunday ease out, then traveling, let me ease out. There is a marriage in the family, there is a function in the family, let me ease out. It's okay, 2 days break, you will have a problem restarting from Monday. Sickness. So right now when we see there are people who are getting COVID and then recovering, so many days they are saying please rest, don't do anything except for pranayama. So when a break comes, the break could cause regression in us. We lost 5 or 10 kgs, now we gain it back. Now the mind says okay, we are like this only, it is waste of time, let us leave this away, let us be the way we are. So you the regression part of it, when something progresses and then you fall back, be watch out. So you should tell your mind that no, there was a result, there was something some output, I saw 5 kgs loss, this happened, this because of this break I put it on, I'm going to do it again. So other than all these issues, the mind could, when you sit for meditation, could bring in, excuse me, when there is nothing major that is troubling or bothering you, it will bring the day-to-day routine thoughts, the responsibilities, the relationship issues, the family issues, professional issues. You want to sit and meditate and you see that these things are going on in the mind. And now that these things are going in the mind, you are not able to focus or concentrate. Very important, very important point that I would like to discuss now is, keeping all this aside, the technology pollution that we are having nowadays, the smartphones, and with the smartphones, of course, if you use laptop or smartphone, you have these applications, social media applications, which are increasing day by day. WhatsApp, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Telegram, there is one more. So constantly some social app or the other is being uploaded, and then we are being asked to be a member of that, and then we have to respond to all of that. We are sitting and meditating, and then there is a ting sound. Now meditation is gone. We want to see, could this be an important message from my boss? Could be this something important that I'm missing out? Let me open and check it. I'm sorry, I don't know why my throat is choking. So let me check. Once you open one conversation, then you see that there is another immediately important another conversation. The meditation is gone with the wind, and now you are into the technology meditation. So what I'm doing is simple. When I'm going for shopping, or when I'm going to pick up my vegetables, or when I'm going out sometimes these days, or in the house itself, sometimes I'm trying to put my cell phone away. I'll put it on silent, no notifications are on, and then I will put it in some other room. I will not check it for a certain period of time. For example, in the morning I teach my classes, so just before the classes I'll check the messages. During the class I won't check, then after that I will check. Then I'll have my routine stuff and chores to do, that time I won't check. So in pockets, decide that you are going to kind of detoxify yourself by not checking your cell phone or your whatever your laptop or whatever it is, that is going to help you a lot. So meditation is actually, you know, turning your focus inwards, and we see that quite opposite to that because of the smartphones, because of this social app or whatever. Our focus is turning outwards more and more. Luckily, I don't know how many of you will agree, but I have come from a generation when we didn't have all of this. So for me, putting my cell phone away is very easy. If you ask me to, because I removed the cable TV in my house, there is no TV for the last 6 years. If you ask me to get rid with the smartphone also, I can get rid. But my son says that it's like extension of my palm. I need to use it even for their education and for whatever they need it. So now the challenge, the bodily challenge, the breath challenge kept apart, the biggest challenge for all of us today to meditate is this only. Okay, so how will you now cut down your distraction, or how your energy is getting dissipated, your prana is getting dissipated, constantly looking at these gadgets? So how will you gather yourself, or how will you pull into yourself to meditate? Is pratyahara. So this is a beautiful tool given by Patanjali in yoga. Pratyahara is basically to cut down your senses from the outside distractions. So what you have to do is, you fix the problems of the body, and then you learn how to breathe correctly into the lungs, and from the abdomen you exhale. And then when you have made your body fit enough, healthy enough, you are eating right, your lifestyle is fine, you will start feeling good about yourself, and you will feel like doing some meditation. Okay, and the breath also now cooperates, because your food has changed, you are able to breathe properly, all the channels, the granthis and all the nadis will get cleaned in the body, and that will help you to slowly kind of stay focused. Now the food also, sometimes too much of masala and garlic food brings rajas to the mind. Okay, it makes you very restless. So that is why the food, the kind of lifestyle you lead, everything determines whether you can meditate or not. So the next step is obviously putting your gadget away. Okay, now some of you may ask, who will help me to do this? No one will help you. You have to work with yourself. You find a way out. If you are spending too much of time on the gadget, figure a way out. When is the time? Okay, you must be having office calls, you must be having some office things, but I'm sure there will be certain time in the day when you can get rid of this. Find that time, because if your goal is your health, your family, your well-being, your spirituality, these things will not cause any obstacle to you. Okay. Other than this, so I have been constantly saying smartphones. So some people, some of you may not agree. Yes, there are other distractions also, like some of us feel like shopping, some of us like buying something or the other, some of us have this complaining nature. We have something in our life, then we say that we don't have something else in our life. Like we have a house, now we want a car. We have a car, now we want something else. So unless this clutter in the mind is got cleared, we will not be able to meditate. Okay, our own personal thoughts and our own what do you say, dissatisfactions in the life will not allow us to meditate. Okay, so unless we clean the container, we cannot meditate. Okay, pratyahara, first stage, cut off from all the distractions. You don't go for unnecessary shopping, don't spend too much time on smartphones, don't brood over things that are not there in your life. Count on the blessings that you have and feel satisfied and happy, and then you will be able to sit and meditate. Okay, the third layer was mind. Next is the Vijnanamaya. Vijnanamaya is the fourth layer in the body. This is the discerning mind. So when you are walking out from your room, you differentiate between a door and a wall. It is simple at the layman level language. That's what I want to tell. The Vijnanamaya tells you that there is an opening here. You can go out from here. This is blocked. Okay, this is a layer where we store lot of do's and don'ts. Idi cheyali, adi cheyakodu, ma mummy ila cheppindi, ma naanamma ala cheppindi, my father said this, my mother said this. Then our own condition, I see, I don't like doing things this way, I want to do like that only. See, I did it. Who did it? I did it. So this is the ego speaking from the Vijnanamaya. When we kind of hold on to Vijnanamaya, our conditioning, our patterns, our belief system gets strengthened day by day. And unless we work on becoming fluid with the Vijnanamaya, we don't stay with the flow, we are going to suffer more and more. And it doesn't help in any way. It is only going to hamper our well-being and our progress. Okay, so let go what is not required, hold on to what is positive. Like I have given an example, past memories. Somebody gave you pain, somebody insulted you, somebody rejected you, somebody put your self-esteem down. It is okay. That person is alive or dead, we don't know, but we still hold on to this memory. This person did that to me, and we keep feeling bad. At the moment we sit for meditation, that flashes in the mind. So when that flashes in the mind, obviously we are in dukkham now. When we are in dukkham, we cannot meditate. I can write and give. Only when your body, your mind, your breath is in a state of balance, harmony and peace, will you be able to meditate. And again, Vijnanamaya is also a reason for hoarding. I have seen many people hoarding lot of things, useful things, not useful things, everything is hoarded. So when they hoard things at the physical level, they hoard things in the mind also. So get cleared of the mana arogyam karna, mana health karna edi important kaadu. Remember, always you are important, your body is important, your well-being is important, nothing is more than that. Okay, today let go all that is stopping you from being this happiness or being in Anandamaya Kosha. If we are in the Anandamaya Kosha, trust me, none of the diseases would have been in our body today. If we have some issues in the body, so I started with this story saying that I had a lot of health issues in the body. Yes, I had a lot of issues because I was unhappy. I didn't know how to deal with the challenges in my life. I was taking care of my sick mother. I was taking care of my own family. In between, I was pregnant, the delivery thing, then bringing up the children. So all this, so when we are mostly dwelling in dukkham, we cannot be happy. And when we are not happy, I can write and give you that slowly problems will start coming into the body. Learn to be happy. Just smile. Give a smile to anyone that you like. If I say give a smile to people who don't like you or you don't like, you will come and now have this thing with me. So start smiling at people whom you love first of all. So I have seen one or two Hindi movies where they say all is well, sab acha hai. So make it a habit when someone asks you, how are you? What's happening in your life? Don't start with the list of complaint, this pain, that pain. Nowadays I'm feeling so giddy, I can't get up. Recently I went to the doctor, he said BP is 150 by 120. Don't talk all that, okay? All that is there, but tell about positive things. Yeah, very good. In the lockdown period, I started my piano again, or I started drawing again, I started gardening again. Try to be happy, find happiness, or speak about things that give you happiness. If you are at ease, there will be no disease. Just remember this, okay? When you are in the Anandamaya Kosha, okay, right now when you say, okay, from tomorrow I want to meditate, no problem. You have 1 to 10 issues in the body. Your breath is still not cooperating. There are a lot of stuff in the head that has to be clean. You have a lot of belief systems, lot of do's and don'ts. In spite of all this not being okay, tomorrow sit for 5 minutes, or today evening sit for 5 minutes, have smile on your face and just stay there for 5 minutes. Nothing, even that small smile on your face and making a positive affirmation that everything is good with my body. From today, I'm going to work on my body. My body is going to help you. My mind is going to help you. Will itself relax and ease in the whole system. Trust me, you will be able to sit. So try finding happiness. Don't try finding what is not okay in my life. Don't make a list of complaint. Make a list of things going well in your life. So meditation is possible, mostly possible when we are in a state of, we are able to touch the Anandamaya Kosha. It is not that none of us have touched that layer. We do touch it when we are very, very happy. If you look at some people, they will laugh like anything. That means that time they touch the Anandamaya Kosha, okay? So when we are in a state of happiness, we are in a state of balance, we can meditate, okay? I'll quickly close this talk by giving a closure to this. So how to meditate? Now you people may ask that we have discussed so many things. How do I meditate? How do I start on with that? So having worked with your body, you made it strong. Now your medication dosages have come down. You start feeling light about your body. Then you learn some pranayama also. Ideally, we do Nadi Shodhana Pranayama. It is like inhale left, exhale right, inhale right and exhale left. It is done to bring in a balance. Remember, we spoke about Ida and Pingala Nadi. So this Nadi Shodhana Pranayama helps to stimulate both Ida and Pingala. So that's why we do that Nadi Shodhana Pranayama to start with. And once you are done with the pranayama, then you don't do any breathing technique while meditating, okay? You just focus on the quality of natural breath. So at the gross level, in the beginning, this is what we do, okay? You just observe the breath coming in, going out, coming in, going out. Then you may, even in this basic state, you will be able to observe, notice, or get in touch with the pain in you, the anger in you, any emotional residues which are left in the system. I told you, right, that we need to clear or clean the container before we think of meditating. So this is like a temple. Before you invite the higher source, this has to be cleaned. And pain, anger, hatred, what do you say, jealousiness, all these are kind of dense energies. And when there is a dense energy, you feel tamasic. And when you feel tamasic, you cannot meditate properly. And when you cannot meditate properly, obviously you cannot connect with the higher source, okay? So you use meditation to first leave the God, to be open and frank. Leave the God, understand your reality. What kind of a person I am? Am I a short-tempered person? Am I a balanced person? Am I a calm person? Do I get agitated when people give me feedback? Or am I a person who controls other people too much? I want things to be done my way. I want other people also to do the things my way only. So it should be always my upper hand should be mine. So first, in the basic step, you start noticing and observing your own basic reality, okay? And also, we, as a basic step, we do this every day, because every day we have interaction with people. We keep talking to people. We have a lot of relationships with whom we keep interacting. So those relationships could bring in some residue or the other. So some phone call, or you heard something about yourself. She's like that, or he's like that, he did this or she did this. Obviously that is going to disturb you. And when you are in, other than the bodily discomfort, when you have some discomfort inside you, obviously you can't meditate. So clear your container every day. If you are a very busy person, you are a very, very busy person, you have lot of things to take care of, then you have to meditate more number of times, because the number of times you are interacting with the outside world is more, so more toxicity flows to you. It could be through your WhatsApp messages, your Instagram or Facebook or whatever. There is more pollution flowing to you, so you have to meditate more number of times. So then you will all have a question that when I sit to meditate, I have lot of thoughts coming on. Yes, when we have lot of thoughts coming on, that means still the mind or body is rajasic. Rajasic means we are too active, so you have to check your food then, and then you have to do some exercise. That's what I feel. You need to do some exercise, because if there is lot of energy in the body, it will not allow you to sit. So you have to take care of the rajas in the body and in the mind. And then sometimes you might feel sleepy. Okay. Other times you after listening to my talk, you might have corrected your food, you might be meditating in the morning, early in the morning, but still you might feel sleepy sometimes. So that time you have to look that could be food, just yesterday night food or that day food, and then there could be no interest for some reason. Your mind is not okay to do meditation, so that's why you might be feeling, so you start yawning and you are not able to sit. So they probably your mind is not interested to meditate that time. Then lack of rest. So you traveled and came, there was a function in the family, you attended some chores and continuously, and you are tired, then you sit for meditation, you might feel not so enthusiastic about meditating. So look into these factors, but slowly, like I said, fake it to make it. Sit for a minute, sit for 2 minutes, sit for 3 minutes. Then slowly the sattva rises. You change your ahara vihara. As they're shift in the system, the sattva flows, and then you are able to sit for longer time. You will know, you will figure out, you will know, you know where all what things are going wrong. As far as I know, my knowledge goes, I brought it into your notice. Check your food habits, check your lifestyle habits, check your exercise habit, everything. When you start correcting each of this, your medicine doses, if all those are corrected, slowly there will not be too much of tamas or rajas. You will be able to sit for meditation, you're more alive and awake. So sometimes I see people talking, have you meditated? They say, no, I was happily sleeping in that seated posture. So that shouldn't happen. So what to focus on? Again, like I said, start with a very basic meditation. That's how I started. Talking about too high level of meditation could be overwhelming sometimes. One of my teachers used to say that even while you are, because I'm a housewife, I'm giving reference of the housewife thing. I don't know if men can connect, maybe men can connect to some other example. So she used to say that even while you are putting a dosa, so when the moment you take the batter in the ladle, then you put it on the pan, you rotate it, then you put the oil, then you flip it to the other side. Can you be mindful of the whole process? For one dosa, if you can stay mindful, that is meditation. So specifically, sometimes you need not put a cushion and all that paraphernalia and then meditate. Even in simple things that you, for example, my husband is a veena player. When he is doing, he's playing his veena, for one kirtana, if he can just stay with it without allowing his mind to wander, that is meditation. So we need not become too big, high level enlightened meditators. To start with, focus on small things like this. I said, no, daily routine things. Many a times we lock the door, we walk down the step, we get into the cab, then we remember we didn't lock, did I lock the house? So if you were awake and alive to that moment, whether you lock the door or not, the thing that after the cab goes halfway, you bring it back, or your own husband driving, you bring it back and you check the door. So if we are able to stay in the moment, that is meditation. Okay, initially you can pick up sun, moon, any body part that you want to. For example, people who have thyroid can meditate upon their Vishuddhi chakra. Those who have digestive issues can focus on their Manipura chakra. People with gynec issues can focus and meditate upon the reproductive organs, the uterus and the ovary. They can talk and communicate to that part, and they can ask them to help you. You can ask the other organs to help that particular organ. You can pick up a symbol, a swastik symbol or any trishul symbol or any other symbol that you connect to, whatever your background is, your culture is. Depending on that, you can do. You can pick up a mantra. You can pick up a deity. Seasons also can be meditated. Some people really like the cold climate. Some people like the Vasant Rutu or spring or autumn. Then chakras, of course, very, very important. The chakras are mostly used for meditating upon. Either you can meditate on all the chakras one day, or one day, one chakra a day you can pick up. I would suggest if you can learn it from some guru, it will be nice. Anyhow, I'm going to discuss that. So in advanced stages, what we do is we drop all this. Okay, as you go to the higher level, mostly we stay with a state of blankness or nothingness in meditation. So the day you know that there are no random thoughts or train of thoughts or even one or two thoughts in your mind, that means you have successfully kind of got on to the path of meditation. Okay, don't push your thoughts away initially when you are meditating. Don't push your thoughts away. Let them come, notice them, acknowledge them, let them come and pass by. Okay. So the next question is, what will help to meditate? So from my experience, what I feel is, ideally your meditation has to be initiated by the teacher, because Guru Balam is one thing that helps to progress very well in the meditation. Because when you meditate, there will be certain experiences that you may go through, so you might need a guru or teacher to answer these queries or questions. Okay, dhyaya balam is that what we discuss now. Any object that you hold on for meditation, could be your body part, could be any sun, moon, or anything that you are holding, that also could sometimes give you a grounding for meditation. Of all of this, for meditating, for improving your physical body health, for your breath or the mind, anything, shraddha is the attention and conviction with which you are going to start the journey and sustain. Only if your shraddha is strong, the guru balam and dhyaya balam will happen. Your intention should be strong. Tomorrow you tie up for a gym or a yoga or something else. Day after tomorrow you don't go, then nobody can help you, nobody can help me. We have to look into the reason why we listen to someone, we got so much of motivation, inspiration, then why is this that I fall down? So meditate on that, meditate on that. After listening to so and so Rajeshwari, I was very, very inspired. Immediately next day I started my walking, I cycling till Sunday, till Saturday also I did. Sunday is a day I want to rest, I don't want to get up. Gone. Monday you won't feel like getting up. So your shraddha, nobody is going to kind of check on you. Have you followed your diet today? Have you exercised today? You are going to set an example to your children or people in your family. If someone in your family sees that you get up 4 a.m. every day, you exercise, they see that anything that is cooked is very delicious and very, very tasty, not more than two pieces you're taking, that will motivate them. You stand up like an example or a figure that the others can look at too. So if your shraddha is dropping, or if your shraddha is falling, see what's going wrong, what happened, what can I done, who will help me? Okay, who will help me? The teacher. Okay, you cannot go to every other person. So what will happen if you meditate? We have been talking, I think almost this is 1 hour 15 minutes. What will meditation do to me? This could be one question that could be going in on your head, or you must have had it when somebody spoke to you about meditation. It conserves energy. I discussed earlier also, I was telling you that when we are looking at this senses, no, eyes, ears, nose, mouth, kind of always take us out. So when we go out, our prana gets dissipated, our energy gets dissipated. when our energy gets dissipated, obviously we feel very dull and lethargic. We look lifeless. Okay, by meditating every day regularly, you conserve your energy, you gather your energy back. If you see some people, you might have seen, they look very bright, they look very radiating, they seem to be very calm and easy going, seem to be very harmonious. You might be thinking, this person, and you feel like they are like magnet, you know, they kind of attract you. You want to spend more time with them, you want to talk to them. So all this happens with meditation. Okay, your awareness about things around you becomes more and more subtle and more absorbing. You are like that powerful antenna, you know, which can catch everything around it. So your ability to grasp things, understand things, and stay with higher quality of life improves. Okay, sickness, nowhere, it is nowhere, sickness is nowhere around you. And from my experience, anything that you feel you want to do or you want to achieve will manifest for you. As simple as my one aim always would be, I won't say aim, but my one simple thing would be, I should get up every day and be able to teach my yoga classes. So this has been happening for the last 12-13 years. Very rarely I had any major issue where I had to close the yoga class and send a message saying that today I can't do a class. So something or the other, even if you can't do, if something is going to happen for you, there is some help that comes into you. Okay, so that's how you conserve energy, and you also attract a lot of positive energy in your life. You strengthen mind. Like I told you, your mind becomes strong and strong. It never entertains any negative thinking. Idu avvademo, adu avvademo, what will happen, what if this goes wrong, what my decision goes haywire, what if I invest here. Nothing. The decision that you take, or the path which the path which you choose will only lead you to the right path. There is no way that you could go wrong. So strengthens the mind, then it helps to use your full potential. So now what happens, because of the sickness, we work for some time, then we sleep or rest, again we work for sometimes, we want to do this thing or that thing. Afternoon 2 to 3 there is some class I want to go, no, I feel very sleepy that time, I can't go post lunch. These are the things that could pull us back. But now you feel that sattva in the body or the lightness in the body, and anywhere anytime you want to go, you are like light cotton, you get up and just you are on the move. Okay, basically it helps shut down. Meditation helps like shut down. Remember few days back when there was lockdown, everything was shut. What happened? Nothing happened. Everyone was leading their life, almost all, everyone was leading their life. If you cut down that Twitter, that Instagram, that WhatsApp, your phone calls, anything else for a while, for half an hour or 20 minutes, nothing is going to happen. World war will not happen. Anything emergency, after your meditation, after that 10-15 minutes, you, so when you meditate, your mind will be ready to take that thing what has come. Okay, without meditating continuously or without doing anything for your for your whole being to stay strong, if you continuously keep taking stress, that is how our health gets start getting spoiled. Okay, so doing your exercise every day, doing your pranayama every day, doing your meditation should be a ritual. So when you were young, your mom asked you to brush your teeth. Now is anyone telling you? No one is telling you. Why are you doing? There is something consequence that you are going to suffer if you don't brush. Okay, so after this talk, from tomorrow, figure out a way how you want to make your body stay healthy. Figure out a way how you want to meditate or what you want to meditate upon, so that you are strong enough to deal with the challenges and problems in your life. Less distortion and we can see reality when we meditate regularly. Otherwise we are doing a lot of vikalpa or imagination, so there will be less distortion straight away. spot on. You can see what is the reality. Somebody said this to me, what is the reality? Somebody canceled this contract, what is the reality? Somebody did this to me, what is the reality? So you don't need the story of the person other side. You yourself can see the reality by yourself. So meditating every day, just like exercise is a cleansing system for the body, pranayama is for the the breathing system. Meditation helps to purify, pacify, calm, and keep your head or your mind in proper proper condition. It doesn't what do you say, it will help you not to go mad with the kind of things we are dealing in this present world, running and running. We are on the treadmill. So meditation will help you to slow down. ఎప్పటికప్పుడు అది చెత్త ఉంటుంది కదా, you keep clearing the impurities, you keep clearing the toxicity, you keep clearing the residues. Okay. At an advanced stage, meditation helps to now go deeper. So from the basic state you start, meditation actually is done to understand the source of existence. From where did we come? Why have we come? What are we supposed to do? Are we supposed to drink, smoke, take drugs, sleep 24/7, eat pizza, eat every day out, become fat? And is this the reason that I'm born, or is there any other higher goal in my life? This is what meditation will help you. So till 2006, I never knew what is the goal of my life. I was a very basic simple woman who would think of only seeing how the day passes. Okay, today I cooked, today I watched my serials, today I slept, my day is over. Okay, I welcome the next day for the same thing. But now most of my time goes, I finish my cooking early by 9 a.m. From there on, I'm into my lot of things. I cannot list out them. My day is very, very productive. I'm very busy, and now I feel the 24 hours are not enough for me, because I'm spending it on more positive things. I learn chanting, I learn music, I learn lot of the sacred chants from a teacher, and all this automatically has purified my system. My mind is always there are like days, like more than a week or 10 days, that in our family we discuss about corona at all. We don't even discuss about corona. There is no newspaper, there is no TV, we don't watch any update on corona. So when you don't attract to something, you don't talk about it, it won't come to you. Okay, meditation that way helps you to stay positive. So when you understand who am I, what is the purpose of my goal, am I just here to eat, sleep, enjoy my Audi car and my duplex house, or is there anything else that I need to that meditation will help. And understanding this truth, so tomorrow the Audi car is gone, or the duplex house is gone, we will be in dukkham. No. So these are all temporary. Today it is gone, that house is gone, something else also will be gone, but that is not permanent. There is something else permanent that we need to focus on. So meditation is all about where did I come from, what is the purpose of this life, and to understand the purpose of life, this vehicle that was given to me, how much just like we give our vehicle for maintenance and cleaning, all that. So in that way, how much am I keeping my machine or the vehicle to understand the higher goal? Maintenance, what kind of maintenance am I doing? Am I abusing it or respecting it? This is what, so meditation helps in all of this. So simple, we start with a very basic like sun, moon, a part of the body, like that, and then we go to the higher level. Why do we meditate? So it conserves energy, all that is there. Other than that, it is also going to help us drop the raga and dvesha. So we have attachments to certain things now, we have hatred to some people or certain things, all that will get dropped. Okay, we develop a kind of vairagya or non-attachment. So when we are slowly non-attached to certain things, our shraddha will improve. I was discussing in the previous slides, remember that it is only the shraddha who will help me to get rid of the gadget, who will get me help towards being a healthy body or mind, who will help me? No one will help. Our shraddha will help. So we meditate to strengthen, we need shraddha to meditate, and meditation will strengthen the shraddha. Okay. Then we meditate to, of course, like I told you, a strong mind, a mind which is not wavering, which says do this, do that, do this, do that. No, it shouldn't give you so many options. It should say do this, and once you do this, you don't repent, you don't again say that Arya, I should have done that. No. So meditation will help you to get a strong mind that will make you take the right option in the first go. Okay. Then we will not have second thoughts. That is the advantage of meditation. Okay. So some of us feel certain stuckness in our life. So anything that we do, we start business, it doesn't become success. We are trying to get our children married, nothing is coming up. We are trying to get something else done. Stuckness in the life. We don't know. There is a certain pattern in the life that seems to be repeating. Your health is getting spoiled day by day. You're trying to do something, another problem crops up. So if you are able to meditate, you will understand this pattern of life from where it is coming up, and you can remove this stuckness. Okay. Some people also do it out of jigyasa. So when I was circulating this flyer to my own circle saying that I'm going to talk on meditation today, some of my friends and family, they're saying we are very curious to know what is meditation and what is all this about. So hope some of them are live now and watching this. So jigyasa, to meditation has become such a common word now. Everybody, even the doctors are suggesting for the psychosomatic health issues. So there is certain issue in the body. The MRI scan is done, the CT scan is done. The best doctor in India, the best doctor in America has seen it, and they say, sorry, we are not able to do anything about it. Then comes, you turn your focus inwards. What is that you have been storing from the past baggages which got deeply rooted in your body? Get rid of that, meditate upon it. You can get rid of it. Okay. Like I said, it helps you to understand the purpose and goal of the life, and understand becoming one with the highest source. So there is a purpose in our life. We have not come here to just enjoy the material possessions, the buildings, the latest supermotor cars, or the latest smartphone version. Okay, we need it to conduct certain businesses in our life, but that should not become our life aim or goal. So the spiritual part of it has to be kept alive, and you have to, and the tool to connect to the higher source or the higher aim in life is meditation. Okay, it's almost 1.5 hours. I don't know, Vani, are you checking any questions for people? Could you help me with that? Vani, are you with me?
Yes, I just message you in a chat. You just conduct 5 to 10 minutes meditation and conclude.
Okay, are you giving me time for that?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, since I have been talking for the last 1.5 hours, I myself need some few seconds. So wherever you are right now, you are in front of your smartphone or your laptop. If you are holding it in your hand, just put it away. Keep your hands free, your body free. If you are on the chair, sit comfortably. If you are on the floor, sit comfortably. Adjust your body if you need to. If you are feeling any discomfort somewhere, adjust yourself. కొంచెం సర్దుకోవాలనిపిస్తే బాడీని అటు ఇటు సర్దుకోండి. So whenever the Annamaya feels good, now connect to the Pranamaya, the breath. Can you feel your breath? Is it first time, or if you have already done some yoga, do you understand your breath? Observe the breath. 2 seconds, 2 seconds unda, or is it more than 2 seconds? Just observe. Deepen it slowly. Slow it down, slow it down. If your eyes are open, close them now. Now notice what is your mind thinking. Is it judging my instructions? Is it judging the process? Is it judging, what do you say, recapping the last few slides that I discussed? What is the mind doing right now? Just witness the whole thought process in your head as if you are watching a movie, sitting in a theater. Now have a smile on your face. For no reason, just smile. Nobody is going to issue a ticket for that to us, so smile. This could be a smile meditation. Actually, I see that there is a change in my whole body as I'm smiling. There's a lot of excitement coming in. You check what's happening with you. Let's do some positive affirmations for the body, the mind, the whole being. Next time when you're inhaling, breathe in this affirmation that I'm the happiest person. Exhale out all the dukkha. The next inhalation, you are going to breathe in the affirmation, I'm the healthiest person that I could ever be. And also do the bhavana that you are letting go all the discomforts from the body right now. Don't name them. Anything that you don't want in the body, offer it to the nature, the Panchabhutas. They will convert into a more healing and positive energy and give it back to us. For the mind, you can make an affirmation. I'm the most peaceful person. I'm calm in all situations. I'm balanced and harmonious whenever challenges are thrown at me. I'll do a small chant to close today's session, acknowledging the 5 layers. You can keep your eyes closed and listen to the chant. Ma aham aham ma aham aham annam ma aham aham ma aham aham pranam ma aham aham ma aham aham manaha ma aham aham ma aham aham vijnanam ma aham aham ma aham aham anandam ma aham aham anandam ma aham aham anandam. Thank you everyone for coming live on to this program, and thank you Vani so much for giving me these opportunities. Gratitude. Vani, can I end this meet?